Hi everyone, welcome back. We're going to continue on with our studies of those California poppies. Now we did that one right back there just a couple days ago, and now I'm going to turn those poppies into a landscape like I promised you. So here I have some different ideas that I've purchased these photos through Adobe Stock. And I'm gonna do something here. You can use like a 14 by 18. This one's just is like 15 by 19. It's a little off, but 14 by 18 would work really nice. This is just a wood panel. I gave it a coat of the canvas prep medium that you've seen me do so many times, and I'm going to do more of a vertical presentation rather than the longer landscape presentation. I think that might make it kind of neat. And then we'll do some of these poppies and stuff that you see down here. I love that real clump of them right down there. So we'll do some of that. But I think I'll bring the ocean in on this side. Let's do a little sketching first. So the colors that I'm using here, these are the YouTube ones. All the colors that I use are listed in the video description down below. So if there's a color that you want to use, and of course I use the Heritage MultiMedia colors here for everything that I paint. Acrylics, I paint everything in acrylics. So I'm going to take just a fusion filbert here, like a number 8. I'll take a bit of burnt sienna, maybe even a touch of blue and white here, just to make kind of a grayish color. I usually sketch with like a burnt sienna type of burnt sienna color. I really like that. But let's just take an idea. So I might leave some more sky than what you see up there. So I'm going to basically bring my hillside. We'll bring some stuff down. Bring some hillside and bring this little coastline right out here like this and down like that. I want to put some back, you know, like we see back there, maybe the back peninsula or something of another hill or mountain back there. Let that kind of fade off back there into the distance here. And so this hillside, I might soften that just a bit. But I like what you see on that one there is that I give this big impression of the poppies right up here descending down. And of course I'm going to get rid of that roadway and maybe make a few poppies right out through here. So that coastline and stuff will bring that out. Let's maybe raise this coastline here just a touch more so we can get some of that look of the cliffs and stuff here right in there. Kind of like that rocky little points. I like the rocks and stuff out there. So we might just change this bit up a bit. So, you know, just give you a real quick idea. Now I'm going to take a 1-inch brush. Okay, let's take a 1-inch brush, and we'll go to kind of a blue-violet here, light. So I'll take some Phthalo Blue, a little bit of the Quinacridone Violet, make kind of a light blue-violet here. This is going to be somewhere around a 7 to an 8. Let's see. It's usually what it's right around a 7 to an 8. Usually what I like to kind of start with. I'm just going to use some water into this, and let's just, you know, casually here right now, just suggest that is where that ocean line is going to be there. And we'll get rid of this, and I'm going to leave it just real casual modeled in here for right now, because I'm going to want to make some churning water and stuff. And I may bring this in just a touch more so it gives me some more room to develop that part of the landscape. Go right on down through where I want to see those poppies. That's going to be pretty nice. Some of this color, maybe even a touch more to the violet side here, I can use up at the top up here, right up here for the top of the sky. And when I do the sky, you know, that watch a lot of my landscapes, I like to model it a bit, and so it gets a bit of atmosphere. And then I'll lighten this up right around that horizon line here. So I'll add some more white, and let's just lighten this up right in here. I'm going to want to get some matter of fact, I'm just going to go lightly. Let's just thin this out with a little water. I like to create that first atmospheric look just by lightly going over that edge there. And we'll add some of this right into there. And let's get a little more color. A little bit more color. I like the variation of atmosphere. So we'll grab a bit more color, slightly different. Yeah, a little more paint. Sometimes that not magenta, but the Quinacridone Violet comes out a bit more. I like that. Helps create that atmosphere that you see back in there. And maybe a bit more right along the horizon line right there. Some wispy, kind of foggy. I lived on the coast for 30 years, and you know, we get a lot of fog. Let's darken some of that down. A little bit of water, a little more blue. And we don't want to go too dark, but so we'll keep it kind of soft here. Let's just come right in. Sometimes you see me use, you know, the edge of my, you know, my stick like this. I put that up there and use that. And, you know, it's just a real quick way. Some people use tape and stuff, but you can use the edge of your stick like this just to help you balance that and get yourself a nice line. And I like this. See where it's just kind of get that kind of draggy look there? I like that. There, here we go. Push some of that back in there like that. There's a real, if you look at it, there's a real blurred edge there. Now, how do you go about getting that blurred edge? You can use wet paint and you can just, you know, blur across it. Sometimes I'll take a big brush like this and slightly pull up, just pulling across with just some water. And you see that sets that blurriness to it there. Take that out. If you feel that the light color needs to come down, then you pull down slightly like this and the light color will come down. And I'll wipe my brush because I got light color in it, and I can pull right along that edge. See, and I just start to blur, and the more I do it right along both of them there, the more that starts to blur and adds that depth that you see back there. See, so I try to keep things pretty simplistic. Let's add a bit more of the light modeling of some of this color right in there, just to get some more atmosphere, maybe a little bit of this violet up in there. Just creates that atmosphere that I want to preserve back there. Now, let's put that back down. Let's go back to our smaller filbert here, and let's use some of that darker top sky color here. And what we'll do is we'll keep it a little bit darker right up here on that edge, so it picks up, because you can see it picks up that edge there, that light violet-y kind of color, blue violet. We'll lighten it up a bit as it goes further back. And just a little bit. I'll leave some of this, I'll model this a bit. I'll leave some of those browns, original tones coming through, but it's mostly going to go up towards those violets. And so let's just put a bit more of that in there. Leave some of that right along that edge. Maybe a bit more, a little darker color right up here. You know, sometimes a lot of times you'll see me always say in my videos, you know, find the light and shadow. Where are you going to bring the light and shadow? So if we're bringing in light this way, which I'll probably do, that means if I pull anything, like maybe here, I'll pull shadow slightly to the right, leaning to the right, and a little bit of the light. Let's even grab a bit of that brown. A little bit of the light color here coming to the left side where the light is. So maybe just a touch lighter, and don't mix these up too well. Let's get that just a bit more brownish blue. Don't mix these up too well. Just tap this around in here. Get a little bit of that movement in there. And get out. You don't need that much back there to suggest all that, and let it just fade away like it does over there. Just kind of fades away. As it comes back up over here, we can take a bit of this and push a bit of those colors in here. But you can also do this. Take some white, model it down with some of these blues. Hold your brush very flat like this and draw in just a touch of almost the wave line or shoreline there. Now, I got that a bit big, but I don't worry about it. I'll just paint it out. Just take this right out, touch that right along there like that, and paint some of that out. It's a bit big, just a bit big. I got that a little too far across on my brush. Let's see if I can do a better job this time. That's a little better. Just a touch. Now you can also, like I show you many times, that also works fantastic with the knife. See that thin line that knife cuts right there, see? And we can take some of this blue and just paint back up into that wave line right there and leave just a little idea of the wave line. You don't see it back up over there, but on mine you do. I like that. I like to do that. Those little edges of mottled color like that and pulling down like that just adds so much, to a painting. Okay, let's continue on. Now I'm using my filbert. You normally see me paint with a flat. I'm using a filbert just because I'm going to use a filbert quite a bit up in here. So let's go back to a burnt sienna. Here's some of our blues, blue grays, a little bit of yellow into this. And let's build this cliff line here up a bit. Right up in here. Let's go a little bit higher. Right up here, we'll put a darker rock up here. And let's take a big brush and some of this blue and some of this yellow here. And let's just get a feel for, I'm probably going to have to take this down a little bit. It's kind of a big cliff face there, but it's, we'll see, we'll see. Well, let's just put some of this in. Let's just put some color in here. Get some of this burnt sienna, a little bit of the blues and grays, a bit of the whites, some water just to thin it down. And let's just get some color back in here right now. Try to keep your, not huge, don't go like this because that's just too much movement. Try to keep it kind of soft and small movements of your brush here. Okay, yeah, that, and and see what those smaller movements does is it just gives you more interest. Now, we're going to want to, and it's just like you see over here, maybe take some of this other movement, so which is this beautiful colors that I like, that burnt sienna green. I love those colors. Let's atmosphere it though with a bit of our sky. A little bit of our sky. I'm trying not to mix it too much because I like it modeled on my brush, and it's not completely modeled on my brush. So I tap it around a bit. There we go. It's a little bit better there. So that when I pull down, I get some differences into the colors here. I want those differences there into the colors. So I'll pull that down. We'll get a bit of movement. Let's get a touch of yellow over here. A bit of movement. The hillside movement that you'll see there. But I'm breaking this up. Sometimes you'll see me, let's just grab a touch of the green and that burnt sienna. Maybe even if you want to keep it thick, you can add a little open medium, which is going to add a touch of transparency, and I like doing that sometimes as well. I'm looking for just variation in the movements. So I don't want it to all go like this, because then that just distorts, it just makes your eye just go so quickly there. We don't want to do that. So, and you can also paint some of that with your knife, especially right along in here. Then I'm going to pull some of this down for that cliff face here, that cliff, that edge, and down towards the rocks. So I'll get some interest there. And matter of fact, let's just do some of that right in here. See, it's modeling, it's movement, color movement. We're going to put a lot of that right down in here. And so I want to grab some of that. And just, let's grab some of this light right out here. Light blue and this kind of gray will just soften that. See, I like to slide the knife. I'm pushing really hard with the knife and just sliding through the colors, which causes it to soften out, almost blend a little bit. Let's take some of this, a little white, a little yellow, some burnt sienna, some blue. Burnt sienna and blue will create a kind of a gray color. See it there? The grayish color. I'll look at that, add a touch of light and yellow to that. And let's just push up and pull down for some of that cliff face there. Okay. We're going to do a lot more to that, but it just gives you a start. Let's go back to some of this dark. It pulls and gives you a start to some of that color, some of that cliff face that's right there. And you see, so I look for this. See all that modeling? That's what I want to do, that modeling that's right in there. Now, something that's really pretty and is that, and water will have this, and a lot of times, and I did for a long time, you know, some of my older videos, which I still love, okay, but as I learned more, I did more, and water always reflects. Even if it's the ocean, it reflects. And so you have to look real close into here, but up into the front of this water, you will pick up some of the reflection of those colors into that bit of the ocean there. So when you look at the photo, you look up closer, you'll see some of those colors. So I always will pull it down and push it into the water a bit there as well. Let's grab a little bit of blue, burnt sienna, and green again. This time slightly different color here. Model it with just a touch of light. This is what I want. See all this model color. And I'm going to come right along the edge here and lift up and pick up some of those rocks that will be right along the water's edge there as well. So we'll do that. Maybe add a touch of it right in here. Maybe you're picking up a bit of it there. And we'll leave that. Now let's just go back to our little fusion filbert. I'll take us some violet, maybe a little darker than what I had here before, this little violet, blue violet. And let's add a touch or two of this right along that water's edge in there. Slightly different color. So we'll work some of those tones out just like that. See? There. And you can go up a touch horizontal because we're up front here. Now let's change the tone, maybe a touch more blue, so it's a little different here. There we go, up like that. As we come down, I'm going to do this some softer right up front here. So I'm going to go to my bigger brush. I like that movement that's there, but I want a bit of this brown and this blue here. I'm going to add a little extender. Now, the reason why extender? Not really to keep it wet. I like when I'm doing like a glazing, a light application of color, I like my brush to really slide over the surface here, and I'll break this up. See, not big, huge, long ones, shorter movements. And I like my brush to slide over the surface. And those of you that have touched the extender, you can feel that that is really a nice slippery medium, and that's what I use it for right there. Just adding a little slippery color. Let's get just a touch more blue violet here. We'll add some extender. Again, not for wetness, not for blending. I just like it because it's slippery here. And let's add a streak or so of this darker color coming in there. Get that edge. A little bit of that coming in before we get down here to the waveline. Sometimes I'll break up that color a bit. So you see all of these beautiful colors that are going to come right down through there, right? Now, we can take, so here's my water, some white, and sometimes I like to add a little open medium to this. Sometimes in waves you'll see me use faux medium. It's a different effect. I'll tap it into some of this blue so I create some lights and some darks here. Don't mix it up real well, okay? And let's come in first, right about in here where we want some more of those waves. And we'll just slide our brush. As the color gets off our brush, let's go back a little bit more towards the back. So this would be the back. This will be towards the front. So if I want to get a touch more light, like right up here into the waves, I'll bring that other light there and I'll slide back and forth. Sometimes I'll use the edge, sometimes the flat of the knife here to create some of that movement. Okay, and I'll come back here and grab this other that has a little more blue in it as I go further back here, and I use more of the chisel edge of the knife here. So that, and we'll just put in a few little marks. Now, a little heavy right in there, maybe, and I like on that photo, it gets another little mark, like a wave or so out here. Maybe another little wave or so. Another little mark from a rock or something right out there. And we can take some of the light color. I really like the blue-green kind of light. And push some of that right around by there. Okay, that gives some movement there. Now, you know, this is this real simple way to make waves, and I like to use this. But we'll then take a damp brush and just lift off some of this here and there. Tap some of that around, so it's a wave coming in. Maybe another. Just tap around it a bit. You can remove some of the excess there. That's right from that edge there. I want some of this burbly stuff right there. But you can take some out so it doesn't look completely outlined, just with some blue there, like that. So it looks like the waves are kind of bouncing in and around these rocks a touch. Just used to, I love the chisel on this little fusion number 8, and I'll pull back like this and see I can lift off some of that water, move some of this color around a bit, just like that, till I get the look to those waves that I want. Maybe a touch more blue and violet here. Let's take some of this off right up in here like that, almost like the angle of the wave coming in on the beach here. So angled slightly. That gives some of that nice movement. The thing is, guys, is try not, you see me changing my color quite a bit and changing things here. Here I'm going a little bit more of the phthalo, more of a blue-green kind of color off that violet, and I'll change some of this, the way some of that looks, so it just doesn't get in there all exactly the same. Now, so I kind of like the way that looks. We might want to, I'm not going to clean my brush. I'm just going to grab some yellow, some burnt sienna, and some white here. Maybe a bit more white, maybe even a touch of green, and yellow, and white. And I could also, so I could do this like this. So if I do it like that, I like that mottled brush. You could also, if you want a little more contrast, do this with the knife. Come back here and maybe pick out the cliff head here and just tap in, gee, like that, real light pressure. You want that to be mottled on your knife. Super light pressure, just lightly, just kind of like approach it. Here it comes down. And just drag over some of that to impart some of the highlights there of that, okay, of that little cliff face there. Let's pull in a little more highlight right in here, right up there. Maybe a touch more of a flat horizontal kind of look, like the edge right up there, okay. Pull down so you get this nice little cliff. Sometimes I will take just a whisper of that color right back, hitting through some of the other parts. So you pick up the color, and it's just a whisper, so some of that blue comes through, but it's a constant color, you know, pulling through there. Just a little bit on the point of the knife there for that little outcropping of rock. You can take slightly darker and really make a nice outcropping of rock. Every once in a while, nice little outcropping, burnt sienna, blue, right in here. Refine your rocks, the look of your rocks a bit if you want. Drag some of that dark up. Now that's a little too dark, and so I'll take just some light color. Won't take it off. I'll just take some light color and just lightly with the knife go right over it, and it pushes it right back down into those rocks again. And maybe a touch of some of my light, which is the little splash of the water there. And you can paint back and forth. So here I'll take just a bit of blue and slide into that, take some of that off. And you know, so you got little bits of light, little bits of white waves hitting there, you know, just because it's kind of far away there, but just little bits of white waves having there. And up here into the front, let's just add a little bit of the light right through that center there, so that wave is pulling in a touch more. There we go, like that. That gives it good. So now you got a pretty little edge of it there. Let's take some of the blue, some of this nice light, and the blue, and see it's different color. I know I'm a little bit more blue violet. It doesn't have to be exactly the same color. Let's work this right down here into this edge right here. Soften that edge. And we'll just drag some of that across here, create some of that misty look, and it's taking, and here I hit some of the, and sometimes I like that. It came right off of my paper towel. You know, a happy accident. If you don't like that, rinse your brush off, take a little water and pull through it. But I can just pull through this. I kind of like that. So I'm just going to take a little bit more light and just pull through, kind of like these are little wispy clouds here. Right like that. Let that happen. Let's take a soft part of the paper towel and just pull through that. And see some of that yellow and everything that was from here came out into that. And I'll leave it because it just makes it look like a natural thing. And that's the one thing I can tell you guys more than anything else. You know, when you're starting out like this, the hardest thing of everything that all of you are going to go through is having this confidence just to put something on and let it happen. And putting that on, you've heard me say this to you 1,000 times, so now it's 1,001, right? Is that you put this on and what happens, happens. Don't try to copy mine. Let what naturally happens with your hand happen. And if it's too distracting, soften it a little bit. Take a paper towel, run through it. Take a brush with water, run through it, okay? But let that natural arc and that natural expression of it happen, and then the thing just looks so much better, okay? It really does. You know, so let that happen. All right. So I'm going to go bigger brush here because I'm going to get some of this done real quick. Down here, some of my yellows, burnt siennas, some of these blues, and we're going to come right down here and I'm going to impart some color. Let's grab some water here and let's just get rid of the white here and create some, get rid of the white, create some movement here. Not too big, but get rid of the white. Let's, a little more burnt sienna, a little bit of green into some of that. And this dark, see this darkness? I have to get some of this darkness. Now you see how dark it is in there. I'm going to want to go there. Not all the way back here, but I'm going to want to go there. But I'm just going to kind of scrub this up a bit. This is my old varnish brush. I used to varnish paintings, and I did several hundred paintings with it with varnish, and then I replaced the brush with a new one. And I take my varnish brush as it gets all icky, and I use it for paintings because it just does great things for paintings, you know. So that works there. Now let's go a little bit more green, a little bit more burnt sienna, maybe a touch of blue, maybe a touch of the red violet in there. Nice cool colors. Let's get that right down in here. See, just don't mix it up. Look at all these colors coming off in here. That's what we want. Let's get a little more blue and the red violet here. That's your purples, right, with those greens. Let's just tap that right in through there. That's the movement of some of these colors that these poppies are going to play for. So now this dark really comes forward and everything goes back as you go back. Then I'll add a bit of water to this, thin this out here, and just let some of this die away here. But I like this movement. We're going to leave some of this movement. See this? Scrub this around. This is where I take my paper towel. I'll soften it as it goes back up there. And just kind of pull through. If you don't feel like you have enough verticals, pull some verticals. Those vertical touches here. We can even just do some of that with our paper towel. Because that's the growth, that's the growing of the poppies here. Some vertical movements. It shouldn't all just be banged in there, you know, crooked and stuff. You should have some verticals, because when you look at this, you get some vertical feelings to it, right? And that's what you got to do. I'm going to rinse this out of this brush, because I love this brush now. It was an old varnish brush, and now it's just perfect for doing this kind of stuff. But so we have some of those colors in. Now let's take some of our green, maybe a yellow green, some of these colors, and we'll use like a 1-inch brush, and we'll start adding some of the green marks, maybe a little vertical, but let's get some greens going in here. See? What we're doing is peel off the poppies and start seeing what you see underneath, right? And we'll pull some of this vertical. See, get some of that nice vertical look to it. A little water. Sometimes you could add a little extender. Why do I add extender in this one? Not because I want it to blend or anything. I'm using it because I like how it slides over the surface. So we'll grab some of this green. As we go further back, we go back up here, the green's got to lighten up, and it should also atmosphere, which means add a little bit of blue to it. So we'll get a bit of atmosphere to this. We'll add a few of these marks down in here, but we'll add some atmosphere here, back here. Okay, so you can look at those greens, you know, maybe a touch more yellow green into some of that. We can add some of those yellow greens. Some of that can come down. But the greens themselves get lighter. And I'll do some of that just by making it more wispy, more water, thinning it out here. And just giving a little bit of that green cast to some of this back here. See? So you got to peel those poppies away, and what do you see in those colors? What do you see going back there into those colors? That's what we want to kind of visualize. And let's take some of this green. You know, sometimes I like to, especially if I'm up front here, man, I like to do it with my palette knife here and just drag some of these heavier colors. It's a buildup of colors, right? It's a buildup of color. So I do this. I'll put it on and put it on a little heavy. You go, wow, you wiped out some of it. No, then I pull through like this, see? And with my paper towel, and that gives me that motion, that movement of the plants. Does that make sense? And that's what I do. You know, those of you that watch a lot of my roses and stuff, what do I tell you all the time in rose lessons and anything? Painting an animal, painting a fur, painting any of that stuff. I tell you, don't concentrate on that particular area or there. Don't make all the petals of the rose. Paint the movement that you see within the rose, the rounding of the bowl, the inside of the center. Concentrate on the movement, and then the viewer's eye, if you're casual enough, the viewer's eye will see petals. We'll see that kind of stuff happening, okay? You don't need to go in there and specifically paint it. It will happen. They will see it. Let's take a bit more bright here. Let's just add some of that in here as well. Brighter colors. Let's get some of that in here. A little bit Hansa Yellow into some of these greens and stuff here. You know, just quick little movements of that. Pull through here. Sometimes pull out, pull through, pull up and down. It's going to give you more movement, right? And you could use the knife more vertical like this and put them on thinner if you want here. Okay, that works as well. But we are putting on the movement. You can put in all kinds of just little marks like that and just pull through and you'll get that lovely movement to it. Let's grab some of this. Sometimes I will leave these edges just not too much done with them because I want, you know, the viewer's eye to come up here and to the front. Sometimes I'll take some softer grays or blues or something like that off of the sky and just pull through and soften some of that movement so your eye is drawn into where the color is. All kinds of ways. I like to try all kinds of things. But I'm looking for the movement, the color and movement of it here. That's what I want. Let's get a bit of this dark. Break that edge. Go up over the edge of that rock so we don't have to paint the beach down there. Okay. I'm going to go right up over that edge. Paint that rock in there. All right. All right. Now you could carry this out a little bit more. I might put, let's go back to our burnt sienna blue. That's our rock. Maybe even leave a little bit of that green there. Yeah, that's pretty good. Let's put a little more yellow, a little more burnt sienna, even a little bit of that green. And just leave this nice little rock face kind of right there. Kind of just looking at it and seeing, oh, maybe I want to do this. And let's add a little mottled blue and white here. Just a little bit there. Yeah, that's kind of neat. Just a extra little wave right there. That's kind of, and that just kind of cleans that up. And you can slide. Let's take a little extender. What does extender do? It causes everything to slide. It thins it out here. And let's just slide some of this light in like that. And that's just going to give us some ideas of some of the water right in there moving in and out. But we see we'll put some poppies and stuff right there. So, but we'll see some of that. Let's take some of this softer. Add just a little blue and white to this. Some of these greens. Softer greens. A little blue and white. A little atmospheric. Let's just add some of that mottled color back here, a little softer in here. And see, that just softens that whole hillside there. And that's all it is getting those color variations. But as I'm going back, I'm constantly thinking atmospheric. Grab some white here right out of my time for a clean paper towel. If you get too much of that in there, you just take a little water. Water's your solvent. Take a little water on your paper towel and pull right through it there again. And just grab, soften. That will soften some of these colors together there. And I need to pick up a little bit more grayish green right in there. And that'll work. Maybe a little bit over here onto this side. Right in there, that's good. So I want those. And, you know, if you want to really make it specific, you can come in and, you know, do a lot of smaller little marks. Just little marks like this. Just, you know, take some time. Grab yourself a cup of coffee. Take you some time and push in littler marks. Maybe a bit of yellows and stuff like that in here. The more details, or the smaller the marks and stuff that you make, the more that your eye is going to go to them and more interest your painting's going to get. But I don't think I need to do too much more. I'll add some because I like some of these little spots and stuff. I'll add them, but I want to paint some poppies first. I'm dying to paint these poppies, so let's get into some of these poppies. Now, I think I'm going to come right in here like I do there and see that larger one. On that poppy video, and you can do this, you can just take some, I don't want to clean everything off, but I'm going to reduce the greens here just a bit. And just take some water and my paper towel and pull through and get rid of some of my palette. I like to have, some of this around. So I'll take some of my yellows. This is what we started our practice poppies with over there. And I'll come right into here using my number 8 and the tip. I'm going to step way back onto my brush. And we'll paint some larger, probably no bigger than like here right now. Shape here and maybe out, nice bowl shape. Think of it sitting down into a bowl. And let's put a bit more of that. I like the color to change. I'm putting the white in there because it opaques it. Remember that? We talked about that. The white opaques the color and takes out some of the underpainting, makes it easier for the poppy. But I do like to touch and wiggle and allow some of those colors to come in there, right? Some of those greens and stuff that I just put on, I like them to come through in there. So now, as we go back, let's go back up over here and let's set a little smaller one, okay? And this is what I'm setting up my visual depth here, right? As I go back up over here, they're just going to go boom, 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 smaller. So into this mid area right here, I might have one maybe about this size. That's going to be right between those two sizes there. We'll touch in some other little colors. I don't have to... and here I'm starting my left brain, making them all the same. And I don't want to do that. So I want to turn some the other way and make some just get hidden and different bits. We'll carry some of that away there like that. And, the thing is that you tend to do like me. I'm a very left-brain painter, logical, analytical painter. I'm a chemist. That's what I started out as, following formulas. And so what I would do all the time is just make the same shape over and over and over again, lining them up like little soldiers. So I found out over time that I'll hold my brush a little different, and I'll roll the ideas and roll the edges and stuff so I can make different shapes. Otherwise, I tend to make the same size shape over and over. And so I want to concentrate right in here and maybe make a bigger, really pretty one right up in here, the main focal poppy right here, maybe right there. And maybe another one right in here. And then, some of these others, we'll sit down and we'll see just little edges. We'll put some, maybe there's some smaller little buds too around, right? There'll be a lot of poppies, in other words, on this painting, but that's okay. I knew I was going to do that. And we're going to paint them a lot for light and dark and color. I'll explain that in a minute. But here we go. And so I want your eye right in here. Does that make sense? Right in there. And boom, we'll do this. Some smaller ones. Put some of them what I call formal. They touch over each other. So maybe there's a large area of them all touching. As we get further back up here, you may have just a large area here of some of these that just come together here, see? And just smaller little touches here. There we go. Just like that. And if we paint these as pretty poppies, those will just disappear back there and look like you know what you're doing. Right? We'll just soften some of that, a little blue, a little green, and a little bit of blue into some of this yellows. Atmospheric, right? Atmospheric, the colors here just a touch. Put those back there, soften them down, or wipe them down with a little bit of water. smaller little touches here. Right here, and then your touches get a little bigger as they come forward. You imagine good linear perspective. Imagine the poppies getting bigger here as they come forward, and more forward here. Now, so I've got a pretty good idea. Might add a few more here and there, but I've got a pretty good idea. Now, let's go for color variation. We'll start up here in the front. We'll take some of that Diarylide and some of that Naphthol Red Light that makes that beautiful orange color here. We'll start to paint some of these with some. Remember, we spent a lot of time. We're not going to paint as detailed as we did on the one sample board, but one of the next steps was we started to put color variation in some of our stuff. So as you come back here, you just may make a whole edge here, just quite a bit more color, that colorful color. Now I'm going to make that even brighter there, so that won't be too bright there. But I see that color back here, so I'll add some of that. And you can do areas of it. So here's an area of it, and then some more of the yellows. That's what gives you the interest, see? Don't just tap this orange onto every single one of them. Think about areas of color here, and then as you come farther forward back into these poppies, then you start adding that orange color to these poppies directly. Does that make sense? Okay. Maybe we push a little bit more orange. We'll push some of that down with green and other colors. But let's just get some of this in. And again, I'm going to paint this very impressionistic. I don't want to spend a tremendous amount of time on it, but I do want to get some of these beautiful colors here. There we go. But I don't want to, I'm going to be painting the impression. I'm going to let basically the ocean, the interest of the ocean and the interest of the poppies just kind of tell the story here of this painting. So here, this orange, let's get a different kind of orange. Now let's grab some Hansa Yellow. This is a brighter orange here, a little different orange. Let's add some of it. Try to use it in different spots here, creating different colors, different shapes with it here, okay? Variation. Remember on that other video, I did a lot of color variation, and I used my finger to push colors in and out and stuff here. We'll just touch some of these oranges around. There, like that. Now, so we got that one. Of course, we're going to have the beautiful yellows, but see, I'm capturing that feeling of those oranges and yellows. But let's go, before we get too far here, let's take some green, some violet, and some blue. Create a real dark, or contrast dark. Remember, I did that in some of the others too. And we'll use this contrast dark right up in some of this foreground. See that right up in there? I'm going to put a little bit of extender. I like a bit of that burnt sienna in there as well. I'm just going to use the side of my brush like this because I like casual. I like this kind of casual look, and I'm going to put some verticals, some movement, some growing movement of these poppies through here. There, like that, right where I want them. Again, looking to get some additional contrast right up here into the front of them. And then I'll thin this out, maybe a bit more yellow and burnt sienna in it so it's not quite as powerful. And I'll go back a few little marks here, go back, here we go, and let that fade away, maybe just a little bit scrubbed around back here, just so you see the color a bit but I don't get wild and crazy with it, not like I do up here in the front. So, yeah, that front right here is really where I want the viewer's eye. I want the viewer's eye to come here and move back up through the painting. And I'm going to do that through contrast and color. And so I'm going to take you up to this side just by, remember I showed you that by adding that little bit of dark right there. I take you up that way. If I wanted you to go further up, I could add another little dark right in here. See what that does? Is that takes you further back up that side there if I wanted to. It's contrast, rules of contrast. So that's pretty good. Let's clean that out. Okay. Let's take some of our red violet, maybe, some of our Naphthol Red Light, maybe a touch here of our quinacridone that creates a little deeper color. And this color we don't want to use too many places because it's, you only see it in a few real deep places here. So, and then right up here into the front. And if you're going to use it anywhere else, thin it out. Thin it way out so it has almost no power to it, and use it in just a couple other little places here in the painting, just to say you did it. So they pick up that tone softening out there. Maybe a little bit of burnt sienna with that. Such a pretty color. And you'll look into some of the shadows of the poppies here with that. And we'll push. Remember on those bigger ones how I push those colors around? We'll push those around, that color around. It's another color, slightly different. So now you see you've got the yellows, the Diarylide, some of that orange, some of that Naphthol Red Light, and now this little bit of burnt sienna. We can even add a touch of the open medium to some of this. And it's just creating this wonderful bit of color movement here into these guys here, which is what I want to do. Finally, I like that here. All right, and just grab some yellow. Grab some yellow, toss it into that. Look at this beautiful orangey color you get here. And you're building that one up again right in there. Right? There we go. Put some of those. Just get, and you can see the movement. See how I'll try to come in slightly different than I did before. Try not to cover up everything. Sometimes I just push the colors around until I make those colors, or until I make those petals. I'll push that around a bit. And having a touch of open medium into your brush really makes it quite nice. A little bit of that open medium, because it's going to keep it wet, but it's also going to allow you to push it around to create some of that interest of the colors without blending them too much. Don't push it around too much that they start to blend. You don't want to do that, right? We don't want to do that. Push some of that around. There we go. Push some of this. Push some of that color right there. Okay. And I'm really concentrating now. If you noticed, I've slowly coming down here to the front. Concentrating more down in here. I can go a little bit back here, but I keep it softer. Right? Boom. A little bit of that color right in there. A little bit. Tap right along this edge here. And the smaller your taps and movements of color, the more distant they become. Bright yellow. There's some that you look up there that have a really nice, beautiful, bright yellow to them. And let's add a few marks of that into some of these. Hansa Yellow. I didn't add too much of that to the last ones, but you could have. And I'll push some of that in. Shape up my poppy a little bit here. Maybe give it a bit more of a shaped edge, maybe a little bit of a front to it there, like that. Okay. And yeah, just fun stuff. Little edge here. You can see I can use the roundness of the filbert here to kind of lean over onto the edge and draw that petal here to the ones that are to the front. Maybe give this one a lifting petal right here. One coming out of that center there. Yeah, just, you know, really it's a bird's eye. I mean, it's a real ground view here, getting right down into the poppies like that photo is taken there. You know, here. And use that edge. See, I use just a bit, and I can just draw that edge of that poppy there like that if I wanted to, right? And sometimes I worry, oh, did I do them too big? And I don't think so. I like those bigger ones that are right there. And but if you do feel like you've taken them up, just take some of your green and take them down in size. But you know, complete some more of your painting before you start to judge that. And mine, I don't think are. I kind of like the large and then go back. It helps give a nice depth to this whole painting here. Let's get a little more of that reddish orange right in there. There we go. And you can tap in some of that burnt sienna green, some of this orange, just a little deeper center on them, some of them. You know, and then, so these are about a third the size of the ones we painted in the board over there. And so everything stays smaller. We can tap a little bit of light and yellow, but not too much interest into these because they're small and you wouldn't see it. Even though we could do it with our brush, we don't want to tap too much of it, too much interest into it. You know, we could probably get it here. We'll just give an idea, a few little centers here. There we go. And burnt sienna. I love the burnt sienna. A little bit of that Naphthol Red Light and a little bit of that Quinacridone to push some of those different. That's just a lovely bright color to hit some of them with. If you want it more orange, just grab a bit of the Diarylide over here. Look at that color. Isn't that pretty? Let's just tap a bit of that into some of these. And it's all up to, you know, how much, let's grab some more yellow right in here. How much are you going to put into that? So I'm going to do a few of them up here with a little more color, a little bit more going on here. And then just let them fade away back there. Little bits. Let's maybe turn like a little petal edge right here, like this one's dying back in there. A little petal edge right here. There we go. So I use that. I've started doing this. I started doing this about 20 years ago. Using a filbert like this, putting just a bit of color right on that top front corner, rolling the brush over onto the corner, and doing some light sketching with it. Like that's the, you know, where I want to, you know, the drawing and stuff like that to go. Okay, so now, do I want to take some burnt sienna and some green, maybe even a little bit of this right into that, and back paint some of this? I use this for a couple of reasons. One is I can use it to soften off the edges. It adds more contrast. And I'm taking the viewer here, and if you need to take the size of any of them down, I don't think I will, because I like everything that's happening here. They're like right up here by you, and I like that. Okay, so it's a nice big painting here like that. Let's add a bit of extender to this, and we'll add a few little stem lines going through up, and some of it will go right over your flowers here. This is going to move some of the stems. We'll lightly add some of this back here. And, you know, I'm just going to let that, I think, just, I could add a touch of this darker movement. But soft, soft, soft. Wipe it with that paper towel. But you'll see some of these little stem lines going right up over in just the little chisel of your filbert here is enough. You'll see just little stem lines. You could use your you know, I've showed you before in painting prairie and stuff like that, using that knife, using the edge of your knife as well. Now, let's go back here. We'll grab some yellow, some pine green, bit of white. Got to be careful, the white will kill the intensity of it. But we'll add little marks here for some of the more brighter leaves here. And again, you could use a smaller brush, but I'm just going to add a few through there, just so I can capture some of that movement there. Maybe some in just yellow. And, you know, you can, I'm going to go down, I think, change this. Let's find the perfect brush, like an old number 2. This doesn't have any kind of point or anything on it. Yeah, that's good. I just need that little mark, that little movement mark there. I'll pull through some of that paint and mottled, right? And mottled, that's what I'm looking for right there. Some of that movement there, that interest movement there. Sometimes, there we go. Some of the different angles of the movement here. We go like that. And if you want, you know, it's all up to you. Do you want more definition into it? I don't think I'm going to. I think I kind of like that, the way that is there. Right in through here and then right on up. If you want more definition to it, you certainly can. If, you know, there are, in the photo, you'll see some of them that have maybe a little bit more of a V shape, a nice V shape to them. We can do that. You can do that with all of these, you know, like shape some of these up to a more V shape. So, this, you know, when you're looking at the flat side of them and stuff, you'll see more of a V shape here. There, like that. So maybe a few of them. The thing is, get some nice variation here. There we go. A few of those, a little bit more of the orange and stuff maybe towards their base. There. I like that area there of that just popping around. Now, you know, since it's up in your front center of interest, you can take a little bit of white. You gotta watch, white will kill your intensity, and we want to leave this kind of intense, but you could add a touch more, like a little light of a highlight or a shape of the petal even more. You know, I did in just a couple of areas on that other one there. It's all up to you how much you want to, how much you want to do, how much definition you want these to have. But maybe I want a bit more right in there, a bit more pulling through. here. Maybe on that one, maybe that's too much of a line, so I'll take off some of it. There. Fun stuff. It's fun stuff. Here we go. Drag some of that in. Yeah, so even now, this color I put back here looks a little bit orangey and looks like it is maybe some poppies sitting way out over there. I mean, and you can do that. I'm going to just take some of this orange and green and dirty color here and just go up. You know, on the original there's like bushes and stuff like that up along the top. Add some extender here. Model this up, even some of the oranges and stuff, because that modeling color gives you a difference here. And we'll just tap along. Like, see, there's a real dark tree up there. It's kind of neat, kind of pulls your eye up a bit. And we just add some vertical movement like that, see? Some of the vertical movement. That's all we need. Vertical movement like that. Then we'll take some soft oranges and some of that other color. And just tap right along in there. Give just kind of the impressions there of that. So it gives maybe a little bit more orange, but I do like that other kind of green. So you don't have to see the poppies everywhere. So let's just take out some of them right in here and let some of that slope of the hill come back. So sometimes you can get too many and it just starts to look a little crowded. So we'll go with a grayed green here. Take some of that out and see what that looks like. A little lighter yellow, a little burnt sienna, a little green. Here, lighter yellow green. Just kind of tap that around this hillside here. Give some of the slope to the grasses. Softer colors there. See, it softens it out. Now, do you like it or not? That's for you to decide. I kind of like that. Maybe just a bit of that dark. More define that edge there. That here, so it pushes the two hillsides there, and here we go. And let the viewer kind of see what they see in there. Let's take a bit of that light, just soften that. Let the viewer see that hill right there, and a few other little poppies that just kind of go back into the distance there from these guys that go all the way back. And I don't, now some of the other thing that you can do, remember on the other one, and it works on these landscapes too, works everywhere, is I'll take some of that, maybe some of that blue violet here. So some violet, some blue, some white. Here, let's get it this slightly light. Let's add a little open medium and a little extender medium. Open medium I add for, of course, it's going to keep it wet. That's not important because I'm not painting a wet into wet technique. But I like the extender slides, and the open medium just adds a little bit of transparency here. And let's just add a few strokes through here. See how that starts to cool off your composition. Now see what happens is that blue's coming right down into here. Do you see that? Now, how much do you add? That's up to you. Or do you add it? That's up to you. Just so you can see what it does. Maybe you want a touch or two here on some of your flowers. That's up to you. Here, I like the additions of the cool colors because it keeps it all from getting just too warm. Here. And I just like that. Soften some of that out. Bring in some of that other coloring right in there. Little marks of it. Here we go. Just touches of it. And you could actually, and you know, years and years and years ago, probably 35 years ago, I started, when I was painting this one thing, and I used to call this the moonlight. So you have the highlight and the moonlight. And so I would add it to like the cool sides of, or the opposite of the highlight side. In painting and still lifes and stuff, we called it the reflected light color. And so it'd be a reflected light color. And you don't see it at all over there, but this is art, right? This is art, and I'll put it in there because I want to put it in there. And maybe I'll take some of that color right into my water so you pick it up. And I'll let some of that other color, some of that color just travel right up through there. Let's add just, not quite as much light, and then we'll get out of this painting because I think it's a nice painting. We'll add just a bit more of this, poke it underneath that violet with not quite so much white in it, right in there. And we'll leave that. Yeah, that's kind of nice. Sometimes a little mark of that through just as a wave line. Just nice. And that gives you kind of a pretty, little bit different of a landscape and kind of pretty that way. And, you know, you can make these small. I love these sizes of them, though. You know, you look at this photo on here, they're just a little bit bigger, just a little bit. These are about the size of my thumb, and these are about a little bit larger than my thumb, but this board is quite a bit bigger, so I kind of like that through. You could put a little bit more definition here, but see, I like how it goes boom right in here, and your eye travels up through here. Your eye travels right up through that right there. If you add more color, you know, then it would travel up through there. And you could also do this, guys. Let me just show you, because these are all things that you can do, and this is what's all going to make us different artists. I can take some mottled color. Don't mix it up real well. Mottled color, and add little bits of this, taps of this through, and that will add the interest up in here into these without getting too wild and crazy. Do you see that? So I can come up here and add through here, add through here. Some, maybe these are smaller, little ones in here. And, you know, a lot of impressionist painters would do stuff like this, adding the smaller. And you'll see little bits of these colors, you know, poking up every once in a while. And the little sparks, that's what I call the little sparks of color. And you'll see those coming through. And that is always adds to it as well. But little things, but it's a nice painting. And I think I'm just going to stop on that, you know. I think that did its job. Maybe, just got to do it. Just a little bit back there. Just a one or two little tap just to say you did it back there. Yeah, see, you just pick up that little bit, and that's enough. But anyway, hope you enjoyed that. What, it's an hour and 14 minutes or so. Not too bad for a quick little painting like that. Putting some interest into the, you know, that, getting that nice depth, drawing that nice depth of field through there. Some of these found edges, these are called found edges, you know, where I leave that light dark and a nice edge. That's what brings it forward. That's what brings those edges forward. Look at the found edge on that, you know. Could you add a little more variation inside? Yeah, you could. You know, but that's all up for you to decide. But I hope you enjoy it. That'll give you a good idea for doing something like that. Setting something in the background, set something in the foreground. Remember when you set those backgrounds. Remember when you set those backgrounds, guys. You know, when you look at this right here, my back there, get rid of that little drip of water. My back there is no darker than a 6. My back hill back there. And as it gets back up here, it's a 7 to an 8. And my top up there is right around a 7 or so. If you don't have these things, the links to everything are in the video description down below. You're going to want to go over to the JanssenArtStudio.com, go click that supplies and stuff, and there you'll see downloadable little charts like this, so you can print one off, and you can see exactly, as I hold this through, you can see exactly what values and stuff that I'm using in everything. So it'll help you see what value I'm using on the water there, some 6 and 7s back up here to almost to the 8s. It could get a little darker up here, but it's all good. But anyway, go get those, okay? Make sure that you subscribe to the channel. We'd love to have you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you click that little bell so that when you do subscribe, so that you know when I upload a video. And I try to do 1 to 2 a week. We're going to, I'm trying to get in to do some more, but we're in the middle of moving our studio, getting more stuff of our studio back out here to Nebraska, so that's a hard one to do too, but that's what I try to do. And if you want to help support the channel, join our memberships. And, I saw Jessica this morning uploaded another video into the membership, so join our memberships and you get to watch other videos as well, more videos as well. But there's over 500 on the channel right now. That'll keep you busy. All right. Thanks so much, guys, for support. Thanks for watching the videos. And if there's something you want to see me do, just drop me a message down below in the comments and I'll try to get to it, okay? This painting came from the comments, okay? So I try to get to them. Can't get to them all, but I try to get to them, okay? So bother me a little bit. Right through them, okay? All right, guys. Thanks very much. Thanks for joining this painting journey with me. Isn't it fun? Okay. I'll see you guys later.